Hi boys and girls, we're back with another lesson for our realistic fiction, just trying to make it even a little bit better as we continue on here. So today's learning target is good writers use a pattern in their writing. And so we're going to look at the pattern that good writers use. They use dialogue and they use description. They have to use those two together in a pattern. Because dialogue, which we talked about already in school, is when a character speaks or talks. That can also include what the character's thinking, so their thoughts. And that was kind of making our character come alive. We wrote lots of great thoughts of what our character was saying and lots of great dialogue of what they were saying. So what they were thinking and then what they were saying. And this is important. So in my story with Penelope, I have lots of ideas of things she might be saying as she's going down the hill, and she's thinking a lot in her mind. She's ready to give up. She's saying, this is way harder than I thought. I don't know if I can keep going. My body hurts. I think she might even have some tears running down her cheeks, which would be a description, right? So as a reader, we want to have that description and be able to visualize what's going on. And we also want to hear what the character's thinking and what they're saying. So your readers can hear what the characters are saying, but they can't see the setting, the character's appearance, or the action that's going on. So that's why then we go over to description, which is when your reader can visualize what's happening. So it's kind of like watching TV without any sound. You can see the action and you can see what's happening on the TV, what the setting looks like, what the characters look like, but we can't hear what they're saying or what they're thinking. So in your story, and in a lot of stories, all good writers use both dialogue and description. So it's kind of like having a good meal. Maybe you had an Easter dinner tonight, and it's like salt and pepper. You don't want to use too much of one thing and not enough of the other because it could ruin the meal. But if you use that perfect pattern, then it'll be a perfect story. So the description is the meat. Think of it as a TV. We need to see that whole movie in our mind as we're reading it. And the dialogue is what the character's saying, which is also equally important. So today, what you're going to do before you look into your draft and try to add in some more here, we are going to use this graphic organizer to put a little bit of dialogue in your story and a little bit of description. So the dialogue here at the beginning, I already know I had, Dad, I yelled, I know I'm 12, but I can't tie my boots tight enough, right? And all dialogue is important because it has quotation marks. I'm gonna write that under here. We need to make sure whatever your character is saying or is thinking is in quotation marks. So even if it was, Dad, I need the quotes there, not here. And then comma, and then it's, I yelled, right? And then later on it says, I know I'm 12. You can almost hear her saying it, right? I know I'm 12, but I need your muscles tying these boots. Okay, if I'm saying that, the beginning of what I say is quoted and the end. So you put it right in the middle there. So I would write that here where it says dialogue. That's my first dialogue. Now the description, I could describe my snowboarding boots. Okay, so now I'm using my, because remember Penelope, I'm using that first person voice. So my big moon looking boots I shoved my feet into. I hardly could bend my ankle. My ankles. I went to tie them, and with all my might, the strings hardly moved. And then I could go back to dialogue. This is really hard, I thought. So, Dad, I yelled, right? So there's that description. Now, throughout my story, if I continued, because we have quite a few ideas here, as I continued, I might have dialogue of my dad saying, come on, honey. It can't be that hard. Get on up. Dad stated, I'm going to say sternly, because Penelope's dad was getting very frustrated with her because it just kept falling and falling and falling. So then I could describe how I fell. I can say, as I was going down the bunny hill, I tried to lean back on my heels. Not too hard. And not too soft. So if you're leaning back on your heels, I was trying to kind of turn to the left. Trying to turn slowly to the left. And ... boom. There's a good onomatopoeia in here. Boom. My edge, my back edge of my board caught. And I fell hard once again on my bottom. Now, after that part, we could say what I said. Ouch. Right? This is getting old. I sighed. As you can imagine, Penelope was, this is getting old. My body's starting to hurt. So this is the dialogue. That's the salt in your story. And this is the description, and that's the pepper. And we need a combination of both. If it was a combination of me just talking about what Penelope was saying, and then Dad set this back, and then I set this back, which I have seen kids do, it just doesn't make it as interesting of a story. So I want you to really go back and forth, think of some dialogue that you maybe said in your story, and then add in some good description too. If you are done with your draft all the way, that's something too, then you can go through and add in between these lines and make your story even better. I will be back with mine and some good examples as I finish up. So enjoy putting some salt and pepper into your writing, and I will see you more tomorrow.